The bedroom was dark except for the faint orange glow of the Austin skyline bleeding through half-closed blinds. I stood frozen, my breath shallow, my silk nightgown clinging to me as if it sensed my dread. From the bathroom, I heard Daniel's voice, low, intimate, meant for someone else. "Don't worry, baby. She doesn't suspect a thing. By the time she figures it out, the money will already be ours." Every word stabbed like glass under my skin. My pulse thundered in my ears, drowning out the hum of the ceiling fan above me. I pressed my hand against the nightstand to keep from collapsing. 6 weeks of marriage. 6 weeks of confusion, of cold distance, of lying awake beside a stranger who never touched me. And now, this. "No," I whispered to myself, my throat raw. "This can't be real." He wouldn't, he couldn't. But deep down, in that place of instinct we try so hard to silence, I knew. The man I had promised forever to was not only lying to me, he was planning to destroy me. Daniel's footsteps echoed closer. I scrambled back under the covers, forcing my hands to stop shaking, my breathing to even out. When he stepped into the bedroom, phone still glowing in his hand, his green eyes met mine briefly before sliding away. "You're still awake?" he asked casually, his voice smooth as polished marble. I forced a smile. "Just waiting for you." But inside, my mind was screaming, "Who were you talking to, Daniel? And why does my marriage feel like a trap closing in around me?" Emily has heard the chilling conversation, but she can't confront Daniel yet. She must play along, while fear and suspicion coil tighter around her. The next morning, the Texas sun poured through our kitchen windows, painting the marble countertops in warm gold. But no amount of light could chase away the darkness coiling in my chest. Daniel moved around the kitchen with mechanical precision, measuring exactly 1 scoop of coffee, arranging his toast at a perfect angle, scrolling his phone like every tap was choreographed. His perfection used to charm me. Now, it chilled me. I sat at the breakfast table, staring at my untouched cup. My thoughts were a storm, memories of our whirlwind romance clashing against the whispers I had overheard. 6 weeks, I thought bitterly. 6 weeks of marriage, and already my heart is splintering. Daniel finally looked up. "You're quiet this morning," he said, sliding into the seat across from me. His green eyes flickered with that same casual detachment that had replaced the warmth I once adored. I forced my lips into a curve. "I was thinking, maybe I'll visit my sister in Phoenix this weekend." The words left my mouth carefully, like bait lowered into dark waters. For a heartbeat, Daniel froze, his hand halting on the coffee mug, his thumb tightening just slightly around the handle. It was so subtle that anyone else might have missed it. But I saw. I felt it. His body betrayed him before his face recovered. He nodded, voice smooth again. "That sounds nice. How long will you be gone?" I leaned forward, pretending casual curiosity. "Just the weekend." "Why? Will you miss me?" His shrug was effortless, too effortless. "I'll manage." The dismissal should have pierced me, but instead, a strange calm settled over me. His indifference wasn't proof of strength, it was confirmation of fear. He wanted me gone. "Why, Daniel?" I screamed inside my mind. "What do you do when I'm not here? Who were you whispering to last night?" I studied him over the rim of my coffee mug, memorizing every detail, the set of his jaw, the shadow of stubble, the way his phone never left his reach. Once, those eyes had made me feel safe. Now, they felt like a mask hiding a stranger. As he rose from the table, adjusting his tie with surgical precision, he glanced at me with a faint smile. "Don't worry, Emily. Everything will make sense soon." The words dripped with double meaning, and my stomach twisted. I watched him leave for work, the sound of the front door clicking shut echoing like a warning bell. The house fell into silence, heavy and suffocating. I pressed a hand to my chest, steadying the thundering beat beneath my ribs. No more doubts, I told myself. If he has secrets, I will find them. Whatever it takes. Emily senses Daniel is hiding something deeper than distance. For the first time, she makes a silent vow: she will uncover the truth, even if it destroys her. That afternoon, the house was silent except for the faint ticking of the wall clock. I sat on the couch, staring at the place where Daniel had been standing that morning, his words replaying in my head like a curse. "Don't worry, Emily. Everything will make sense soon." The longer I thought about it, the more those words felt like a threat instead of comfort. I rose, my bare feet whispering against the hardwood floor as I drifted toward his office. Daniel's work sanctuary. He never let me inside. His reason: client confidentiality, You wouldn't understand. But today, I didn't care about boundaries. My gut screamed louder than my fear. The blinds in the office were half drawn, slicing golden Texas sunlight across the room. His desk was spotless, too spotless. Not a single paper out of place, every pen aligned like soldiers ready for inspection. I pulled open the top drawer. Only pens, sticky notes, paper clips. Second drawer, empty folders, crisp and unused. Filing cabinet, generic financial statements, bland, almost suspicious in their neatness. My pulse raced. Was I wrong? Or was he hiding in plain sight? I almost gave up, until I saw the trash bin tucked beneath the desk. A crumpled piece of paper peeked out from under shredded receipts. My hand shook as I pulled it free, smoothing the wrinkles. It was a hotel receipt from Las Vegas. The date stamped clear, 3 weeks ago. The same week Daniel swore he was at a financial conference in Salt Lake City. And on the back, written in his unmistakable handwriting, was a phone number. A Nevada area code. The room tilted. My knees nearly buckled. Las Vegas. Who were you with, Daniel? Who did you buy roses for in the city of neon and secrets? I fumbled for my phone, snapping a picture of the receipt before folding it carefully into my nightgown pocket. My hands trembled so violently that the photo came out blurry. I took another, whispering to myself. This is proof. Something's wrong. Something's terribly wrong. A sudden sound made me freeze, the distant creak of the front door. Daniel was home early. Panic surged. I shoved the receipt back into the trash bin and closed the drawer with a sharp click, heart hammering in my throat. His footsteps echoed in the hallway, growing closer. I forced myself to step away from the desk, my lips forming a trembling smile as the door swung open. Daniel stood there, his tie loosened, his green eyes sharp and searching. For a fleeting second, I thought he could smell my guilt, feel the heat of my discovery. "What are you doing in here?" His voice was calm, but there was an edge, like a blade pressed against silk. I swallowed hard, masking my fear with a casual shrug. "Just looking for the stapler." He studied me for a long moment, silence stretching taut between us. Then, he smiled, the kind of smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Next time, ask me first. Boundaries matter, Emily." His words cut deeper than the receipt in my pocket. Emily has her first piece of proof, but Daniel is watching her now. She knows if she slips again, the truth might cost her more than her marriage. That evening, I sat in my car a block away from the glass front office building where Daniel claimed to work. The sun was sinking behind the Austin skyline, painting the horizon in bruised purples and reds. My hands clutched the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles blanched white. I had called the company earlier, pretending to be a client. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the receptionist said politely. "We don't have anyone named Daniel Cooper here." The words echoed in my skull like a death knell. Now, I waited. My stomach twisted as the minutes dragged by, the streetlights flickering awake one by one. At exactly 6:15 p.m., Daniel's silver Lexus glided into the parking lot. I slid lower in my seat, heart hammering. He didn't go inside the office entrance. Instead, he sat in his car, phone pressed to his ear, his face lit by the cold blue glow of the screen. From this distance, I couldn't hear his words, but I didn't need to. His expression said everything. His smile was warm, his laugh effortless, his hand gesturing in the air like he was confiding in someone who meant everything to him. Someone who wasn't me. My chest ached, the memory of our honeymoon in Aspen crashing into me, the excuses, the exhaustion, the wall between us. Now I saw the truth, his tenderness hadn't vanished. He had simply given it to someone else. 20 minutes later, he finally hung up, checked his reflection in the rearview mirror, and stepped out of the car. Instead of heading into the office tower, he walked to the coffee shop tucked into the ground floor. I followed on foot, nerves sizzling like live wires under my skin. Through the wide windows, I saw him order a latte, then settle into a corner booth. He opened his laptop, tapping away like a man buried in spreadsheets. But there was something staged about it, too deliberate, too performative. Every few minutes, he looked around, as if expecting someone. I crouched behind a row of parked cars, pulse pounding in my ears. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I ignored it, eyes glued to the man I thought I had married. Finally, after nearly an hour, he closed the laptop, tossed what looked like fake paperwork into the trash, and left. His face was calm, even cheerful, so different from the cold, mechanical stranger who lived in my home. I followed him back to his car, keeping my distance. He drove straight home, no stops, no hesitations. When we pulled into the driveway minutes apart, I forced myself to count to 30 before stepping out of my car. Inside, the house was warm and quiet. I could hear the shower running upstairs. My hands shook as I crept to the nightstand. His phone sat charging, the screen dark. I hesitated, chest heaving, then entered our wedding date, the code I'd seen him type once. The phone unlocked. And what I saw made my blood run cold. Thread after thread of text messages, filled with heart emojis, miss you, S, can't wait to hold you, S, photos of Daniel with a woman I didn't recognize. Both of them smiling. Both wearing wedding rings. At a courthouse. My breath caught. Oh my God, he's married. Emily now knows, Daniel isn't just distant. He has another wife. And the life she thought was hers may already be a lie. The next morning, Austin's skyline glittered like glass under the harsh Texas sun. But inside me, there was only storm. Sleep had been impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the courthouse photo on Daniel's phone, his arm wrapped around another woman, their rings flashing like proof of my humiliation. By dawn, I made my decision. I needed help. The law office of Patricia Morgan was downtown, on the 18th floor of a steel and glass tower overlooking Lady Bird Lake. The lobby smelled of leather and cedar polish, its walls lined with oil paintings of stern-faced judges. I sat in a plush chair outside Patricia's office, my fingers twisting the strap of my purse, my phone heavy in my pocket with the evidence I'd collected. When Patricia finally ushered me inside, her presence was commanding, sharp navy suit, silver hair pinned back, eyes that missed nothing. She gestured for me to sit across from her mahogany desk, the Denver sun streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows at her back. "Tell me everything," she said simply. And I did. My voice cracked as I replayed the weeks of distance, the Vegas receipt, the fake office, the photos on his phone. By the time I finished, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the device as I showed her the evidence. Patricia scrolled in silence, her expression tightening with every swipe. Finally, she set the phone down and folded her hands, her eyes locking on mine. "Emily, what you're describing isn't just adultery. It may be bigamy." The word struck like a gunshot. Bigamy? I echoed, my chest tightening. Yes, Patricia said, her voice grave. If Daniel married another woman before he married you, then your marriage is not just broken, it's potentially void. And in Texas, bigamy is a felony. He could face prison time. The floor seemed to tilt under me. A felony? Prison. My marriage certificate, my vows, reduced to a fraud on paper. But that's impossible, I whispered. We had a ceremony. A pastor. Over 100 guests. Patricia leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. Emily, if what you showed me is true, then Daniel's marriage to you was never legal in the first place. Which means his intentions may not have been about love at all. He could be after your finances, your identity, even your trust fund. I swallowed hard, nausea churning. The prenup he'd insisted on. The casual way he dismissed me leaving. The cold precision of his routines. Suddenly, it all looked like scaffolding for a con. What do I do? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Patricia's tone was steel. First, we hire a private investigator. Second, we collect evidence before confronting him. If he's guilty of bigamy and fraud, we'll need airtight proof to bring him down. Her words sank into me like anchors, terrifying, but solid. For the first time in weeks, I felt the faintest flicker of control. Still, a part of me recoiled. Prison. Fraud. How could the man who kissed me under fireworks, who whispered about forever, be capable of this? I lowered my gaze, whispering to myself, who are you, Daniel? And why did you marry me if you already belonged to someone else? Emily leaves Patricia's office with a chilling new truth, her marriage may not even be real. And for the first time, she wonders if Daniel ever loved her at all, or if she was just another target in a much bigger scheme. The next afternoon, Patricia escorted me into a modest office tucked above a row of law firms downtown. The blinds were half closed against the Texas sun, slicing pale beams across stacks of files and photographs pinned to corkboards. Behind the desk sat Detective Sean Miller, a compact man in his 50s, graying at the temples, eyes sharp as flint. He didn't waste time with pleasantries. Instead, he leaned forward, extending a calloused hand. Emily, Patricia filled me in. I need to hear your story in your own words. His voice was gravelly, but steady. A man who'd seen too much, yet still carried authority. I sat down, clutching my purse like a lifeline. My voice shook as I recounted everything, Daniel's coldness, the Vegas receipt, the texts, the courthouse photo. Each word felt heavier than the last, dragging me deeper into a reality I still struggled to believe. Sean listened without interruption, his pen scratching across a yellow legal pad. When I finished, silence hung in the room, broken only by the hum of the air conditioner. He set his pen down, eyes locking on mine. Emily, I've seen cases like this before. They follow a pattern: whirlwind romance, quick marriage, immediate access to finances. Then, before the victim realizes what's happening, everything, money, trust, security, is gone. My stomach twisted. But he loved me. I know he did. When we were dating, he was perfect. Attentive. Romantic. Sean's gaze softened slightly, but his words were merciless. That's exactly what makes him dangerous. Men like Daniel don't love. They perform. They study their targets, learn their weaknesses, and become whoever you need them to be. It's not affection, Emily, it's calculation. I felt my throat tighten, heat pricking behind my eyes. The memory of Daniel's hand on mine, his laughter in the park, his kiss under the stars, all of it suddenly looked like staged theater. A role he played. So what happens now? My voice was barely a whisper. Sean pulled a small black device from his desk drawer, placing it gently in front of me. This is a recorder. Texas is a one-party consent state. If Daniel says anything, admissions, threats, plans, we need it on record. It could be the difference between catching him and watching him disappear. I stared at the device, the weight of it pressing on me like a stone. To record him meant acknowledging he wasn't my husband anymore, he was a suspect. Sean's voice dropped lower, almost gentle. But Emily, you need to prepare yourself. What we find may hurt more than anything you've imagined. These people don't just lie about love. They build entire lives on deception. Are you ready for that? I inhaled sharply, fingers curling around the recorder. Fear clawed at me, whispering that maybe ignorance was safer. But another voice rose louder, the one that had kept me awake at night, the one screaming for truth. Yes, I said, my voice trembling but resolute. Whatever it takes. I need to know who I married. Sean studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Good. Because once we pull at this thread, Emily, everything you thought was real, might unravel. Emily leaves with the recorder in her purse and a gnawing terror in her chest. She is no longer just a wife, she is bait in a dangerous game. That night, the house was wrapped in uneasy silence. Crickets chirped outside the bedroom window, their rhythm louder than my own pulse hammering in my ears. The recorder lay heavy in my pocket, its small red light hidden under fabric. I could feel it burning against my thigh, reminding me of Sean's warning, once we pull this thread, everything you thought was real, might unravel. Daniel sat across from me at the dinner table, swirling his glass of wine, his expression unusually light. He even laughed at his own joke, the sound so warm and easy it almost fooled me. Almost. But I wasn't watching his smile. I was listening for cracks. Halfway through the meal, his phone buzzed. He excused himself casually, just a quick work call, and disappeared into his office. My heart leapt. This was the moment. I slid from my chair, my legs trembling as I padded barefoot down the hallway. I pressed myself against the wall outside his office, the recorder clenched in my hand. Through the thin door, his voice floated out, low, intimate, cruel. Yeah, baby. I miss you too. No, she has no idea. In fact, she's making it easier. She keeps pulling away, questioning everything. If she files for divorce first, the prenup gives me half her assets, plus access to the trust fund. My lungs seized. The trust fund, I thought wildly, gripping the doorframe to steady myself. He's been after my grandmother's inheritance this whole time. Inside, Daniel chuckled softly. It was genius, really. She signed the prenup without blinking, so in love she barely read it. Once she's out, I'll be free. And richer. Then I can finally move in with you. This whole act is almost over. The blood drained from my face. My body shook so violently I feared the recorder would clatter to the ground. She's nothing but a transaction, he continued, his tone colder than I'd ever heard. A means to an end. Tears blurred my vision. Every kiss, every whispered "forever" was suddenly nothing but scaffolding in a performance designed to strip me bare. He paused, lowering his voice further, but I still caught the words that carved into my bones. If she gets suspicious before the money moves, we'll have to handle it differently. You know what that means. Silence. Then, a chilling laugh. My knees nearly buckled. Handle it differently. Did he mean, hurt me? I stumbled back down the hall, forcing my breath quiet, my mind screaming. My trembling thumb flicked off the recorder, sliding it back into my pocket just as Daniel's footsteps echoed toward the door. I rushed to the living room, snatching up a magazine, pretending to flip pages as if nothing had happened. Daniel emerged moments later, his smile as effortless as ever. He leaned against the doorframe, eyes gleaming with false warmth. Sorry, Em. Just business. I nodded, forcing a smile, while inside my heart roared. You're not my husband. You're my predator. Emily now has a recording of Daniel's chilling betrayal, proof of fraud, greed, and something even darker. But with his ominous words about handling it differently, she realizes she may not just lose her money, she may lose her life. The next morning, I sat across from Detective Sean Miller in his dimly lit office, the blinds casting striped shadows across his desk. The air smelled faintly of stale coffee and cigarette smoke, as though the room itself carried the weight of too many confessions. My hands trembled as I set the recorder down. I got it, I whispered, my voice cracking. Sean leaned forward, his face unreadable as he pressed play. Daniel's voice filled the room. Smooth, casual, dripping with cruelty. She signed the prenup without blinking. She's nothing but a transaction. If she gets suspicious, we'll handle it differently. The words sliced through me all over again. I hugged my arms to my chest, staring at the floor as if it could swallow me whole. When the recording ended, silence pressed heavy. Sean exhaled slowly, rubbing his temple. His eyes darkened with something I hadn't seen before, worry. Emily, this is worse than I thought. I looked up, heart hammering. Worse? He's already plotting to steal everything. He hinted at hurting me. Sean shook his head. This isn't just about you. Men like Daniel rarely work alone. The precision, the rehearsed answers, the Vegas connection, it all points to something bigger. I think he's part of a network. Marriage fraud rings that target wealthy women across state lines. I've tracked cases in Nevada, Colorado, even Arizona that fit this exact pattern. The room tilted. So you're saying I'm not the only one? No, Sean said grimly. You might just be one of many. I felt my stomach drop, nausea rising like bile. All those late-night phone calls, all those absences. Was Rachel just another victim, or was she his partner? Sean flipped open a folder and slid a few photographs toward me. Grainy surveillance images, different women, different states, all smiling beside men who looked alarmingly similar to Daniel. Sometimes his hair was darker, sometimes his beard fuller, but the posture, the smile, the eyes, they were him. My chest constricted. Oh my God, how many? At least 4 confirmed, Sean said. And probably more we don't know about. They build false lives, marry fast, drain assets, then vanish. And Emily, he paused, his voice tightening. The fact that you're still here, that he hasn't disappeared yet, means you're still useful to him. That makes you vulnerable. Fear clawed at me, icy and suffocating. What do I do? How do I stop him? Sean's gaze was unflinching. You don't. Not alone. We're going to set a trap, but it has to be airtight. Until then, you act normal. You play the role of the trusting wife. Can you do that? My lips trembled, but I forced myself to nod. If that's what it takes. Sean slid the recorder back to me, his hand firm, his voice low. Then remember this, every smile you give him, every kiss, every word, it's not love anymore. It's survival. And the deeper we dig, the uglier this is going to get. I swallowed hard, slipping the recorder into my purse. As I rose to leave, my reflection in the office window caught me off guard. Pale face, wide eyes, trembling hands. I barely recognized the woman staring back. What if the man I married was never real at all? I thought, shivering. Emily leaves knowing Daniel may not be a lone fraudster, but part of a dangerous ring of predators. Her marriage is no longer just broken, it's a battlefield, and she is standing in the crosshairs. That evening, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, forcing a smile until my cheeks ached. My reflection looked like a stranger, eyes red from crying, lips trembling from fear. You can do this, I whispered to myself. He can't know. Not yet. Sean's words echoed in my mind, every smile, every kiss, it's not love anymore. It's survival. When Daniel came home, the house smelled of roasted chicken and rosemary. I had cooked his favorite, though the sight of the meal made my stomach churn. His footsteps echoed down the hall before he appeared, loosening his tie, flashing that charming grin, the one that had once melted me. Wow, Em. You went all out. He kissed my cheek lightly, his lips cool against my skin. I forced a soft laugh. I just wanted us to have a normal night. Inside, bile rose. Normal. There was nothing normal about loving a man who plotted to steal my life. We sat at the dinner table. He talked about clients, about a deal in Dallas, his words smooth as glass. I nodded at the right times, my hands folded neatly in my lap to hide their trembling. Beneath the table, the tiny recorder Sean had given me was hidden in my purse, angled just so. Every word Daniel spoke was captured, every lie documented. So, I said casually, stabbing a piece of chicken with my fork, I was thinking, maybe we should take a trip soon. Just the two of us. Vegas, maybe. Daniel's fork froze midair. For a split second, panic flashed in his eyes before his mask snapped back into place. He chuckled. Vegas? What would we do there? My heart hammered, but I tilted my head, feigning innocence. I don't know, gamble, see a show. Maybe, renew our vows. The silence stretched too long. His smile faltered, then returned sharper, thinner. That's sweet. Maybe someday. I hid my clenched fists under the table. He's hiding something. Vegas is his weak spot. After dinner, he poured me a glass of wine, his hand brushing mine. You've been different lately, Em. Softer. I like it. His words made my skin crawl, but I met his gaze, widening my eyes like a woman in love. I just want us to be happy again. He reached over, covering my hand with his. Warmth spread across my skin, but it wasn't comfort, it was poison. Don't worry, he said softly, almost tenderly. Everything will make sense soon. And there it was again, that phrase. The promise that wasn't a promise at all, but a warning. When he finally retreated to his office, I excused myself to the bedroom. My hands shook as I texted Sean under the blanket of darkness. He bought it. He suspects nothing. But I think Vegas is the key. A reply buzzed seconds later. Good. Keep playing the role. We'll set the trap there. Be careful, Emily. One wrong move, and he'll know. I dropped the phone on the nightstand, my chest heaving. I lay in the dark, listening to Daniel's muffled voice through the walls as he made another call. His laughter floated down the hall, warm, easy, utterly false. I turned to face the ceiling, tears pooling in my eyes. Every second I played this role, I felt pieces of myself slipping away. But if it meant exposing him, saving others, reclaiming my life, then I would smile until my face broke. Emily has fully stepped into her role as the trusting wife, while secretly working with Sean. But with Daniel's mask beginning to crack and Vegas looming as the trap, the stakes are no longer just about money, they're about survival. 2 nights later, I sat in Sean's office again, the city lights of Austin burning through the window like restless stars. A map of Las Vegas was spread across his desk, pins and notes scattered like battle plans. Sean leaned over the map, his pen tapping against a circle he'd drawn around the Venetian. He's used this hotel before. We think he meets her there. If he brings you on a trip, it'll likely be here. That's where we'll set the trap. I nodded, though my hands twisted in my lap. The idea of flying to Vegas with Daniel felt like willingly stepping into a lion's cage. But if this was what it took, I would do it. What happens when we get there? I asked, my voice tight. Sean's gaze was steady. We'll have surveillance on site. The moment he makes a financial move, or meets with her, we'll have him. But Emily, he hesitated, his jaw tightening. You need to be prepared for what you might see. A chill ran down my spine. What do you mean? He slid a manila folder toward me. Inside were grainy surveillance photos taken in Las Vegas just a week ago. My breath caught. Daniel. Laughing. Holding hands with the woman from the courthouse photo. She was striking, dark hair, sharp cheekbones, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Her name is Rachel Caldwell, Sean said grimly. Nevada marriage records confirm she and Daniel were married 8 months ago. Caldwell? I whispered. My vision blurred. Wait, you said Caldwell. Sean nodded slowly. Yes. Same last name. I shook my head violently. That can't be right. That's his last name too. Are you saying? Sean's expression darkened. We ran background checks. Rachel Caldwell is not just his wife. She's his sister. The words hit me like a sledgehammer. My stomach lurched, bow rising in my throat. Images flooded my mind, the whispered phone calls, the tender tone, the laughter I hadn't heard from him in months. All of it, with his own sister. No, I whispered, covering my mouth. That's sick. That's monstrous. Sean's tone was steel. They've been running this scheme together for years. The marriages, the fraud, the manipulation, it's all part of their operation. He lures wealthy women. She provides cover. Together, they've stolen hundreds of thousands across multiple states. I staggered back in my chair, the photos trembling in my hands. My world shrank to the grainy black and white of Daniel's arm draped over his sister's shoulders, their smiles twisted by the knowledge of the scam they were pulling. Emily, Sean said firmly, cutting through my spiral, this is bigger than betrayal. This is organized fraud. Incest. Criminal conspiracy. And it ends with you unless we stop them. I forced myself to breathe, every inhale jagged. My marriage wasn't just a lie, it was a trap spun by two predators masquerading as lovers. I clenched the photos, my voice raw. Then let's end this. Whatever it takes. Emily now knows the horrifying truth, Daniel and Rachel are siblings, partners in a web of fraud and depravity. The Vegas trap is no longer just about justice. It's about survival, and exposing a twisted secret that could shatter everything. The strip of Las Vegas glittered outside my hotel window, neon lights bleeding into the night like veins of fire. From 20 floors up, the city pulsed with sin and secrets. Daniel's arms circled my waist as we stood by the glass. His reflection in the window smiled, warm and boyish. To anyone else, we looked like newlyweds on a romantic getaway. But inside, my chest ached with dread. To Vegas, finally, he whispered against my ear. Told you everything would make sense soon. My lips curved into a practiced smile. I'm glad we're here. The words tasted like ash. What he didn't know, 2 floors below, Sean and a team of federal agents sat wired in an unmarked room, listening. The recorder in my purse wasn't just capturing his words now, it was feeding them live to the FBI. Sean's voice from earlier echoed in my head, play along. Don't flinch. The moment he moves on the accounts, we'll strike. Until then, you're the bait. Dinner was staged at the Venetian's grand dining hall. Gold chandeliers bathed the room in light, reflecting off polished marble floors. Daniel looked relaxed for the first time in weeks, sipping expensive wine, his hand brushing mine across the table. After dinner, I want to show you something, he said, eyes gleaming. A surprise. You'll finally understand why all of this was worth it. My stomach tightened. Stay calm. Smile. I glanced down, pretending to fix my napkin, and texted one word to Sean on the burner phone hidden in my lap. Moving. 30 minutes later, Daniel led me through the casino, his hand firm on the small of my back. Slot machines chimed, lights flashed, the air thick with perfume and desperation. To the world, we were a glamorous couple. To me, we were walking toward my execution, or his. We stopped outside a private banking suite tucked in the far wing of the hotel. Daniel pulled a keycard from his pocket, his grin triumphant. "Trust me, Emily. After tonight, our lives will change forever." My throat closed. Our lives. Or just yours. Inside, the suite smelled sterile, all glass and chrome. A banker greeted him warmly, too warmly, as though this wasn't his first time here. Daniel slid documents across the counter, his voice low, confident. I caught fragments: trust fund, transfer authorization, wire accounts. My pulse raced. This was it. He was making his move. I shifted slightly, the small mic in my necklace catching every word. Somewhere in the building, Sean's team was hearing it live. Daniel signed the final page, his smile sharp, victorious. He turned to me, slipping an arm around my shoulders. "See, Em. This is our fresh start. Once this clears, everything will finally make sense." But before I could force another smile, the door burst open. Federal agents. "Step away from the desk." Daniel froze, the color draining from his face as men in suits swarmed the room, badges flashing, guns drawn. The banker stammered, backing away. Papers scattered across the polished floor. Daniel's grip on me tightened like a vice. "What did you do?" he hissed, his eyes wild, betrayal cutting deeper than any blade. My lips trembled, but I whispered back, "Steady this time, I chose the truth. Daniel has been caught in the trap, surrounded by FBI. But his grip on Emily's arm says one thing: this game isn't over yet." The courtroom in Las Vegas was packed, a low murmur humming through the gallery like restless thunder. Reporters shuffled papers, cameras clicked outside in the hallway. My palms were slick against the wooden pew as I sat in the second row, my heart pounding. Across the room, Daniel stood in shackles, his once perfect suit replaced by an orange jumpsuit. Beside him, Rachel sat stiff, her sharp features pale, eyes darting nervously toward the jury box. For weeks, I had dreamed of this moment, of seeing him stripped of his charm, of watching the mask finally shatter. The prosecutor's voice rang out, clear and steady. "The government charges Daniel and Rachel Caldwell with conspiracy to commit fraud, wire fraud, identity theft, and bigamy. These siblings operated a criminal enterprise designed to prey on vulnerable women, steal their assets, and vanish. Today, their pattern of deceit ends." My throat tightened. Each word felt like a blade carving truth into stone. When the evidence was presented, the receipts, the text messages, the recording I had captured through trembling hands, I forced myself to look at Daniel. His face had hardened, the cocky grin long gone. For the first time, I saw fear flicker behind those green eyes. Rachel wept silently as photos of her and Daniel together were shown to the jury. Not romantic photos now, but evidence of fraud, deceit, a twisted partnership that had destroyed lives. Finally, the judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Daniel James Caldwell is hereby sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Rachel Marie Caldwell will serve 8 years as an accomplice. The words seemed to echo forever, filling the chamber with finality. Daniel's head snapped toward me as bailiffs moved to escort him out. His eyes burned with disbelief, anger, even desperation. For years, he had controlled every moment, every smile, every promise. But not anymore. I didn't flinch. For once, I met his gaze with steel. "It's over," I whispered, though he couldn't hear me. When the heavy doors closed behind them, a strange silence fell. Not relief exactly, but something cleaner, sharper. Like the air after a storm. That night, I walked alone along the Vegas Strip. Neon lights shimmered above me, reflected in rain-slick streets. For the first time in months, my chest felt lighter. Not free of scars, those would remain, but free of the chains of deception. I thought of the girl who had walked into her marriage with stars in her eyes and silk on her skin. She had been destroyed. But the woman walking now, the one who had faced betrayal, danger, and truth, was still standing. Stronger. Wiser. I looked up at the glow of the skyline and whispered, almost to myself. Love should never cost you your voice, your safety, or your soul. If something feels wrong, trust that instinct. It might just save your life. Emily doesn't walk away with money, or even her old dreams of happily ever after. She walks away with something more powerful, herself.